I think what we're going to do is talk a little bit today about connecting with them and a clean energy field. So why that is so important, and not just with Sasquatch, but with interdimensional beings, elementals. We need a clean energy field to do that. And why do we need a clean energy field? Because for one thing, we want to get everything out of that experience that we can. So if we're not available for that, so we're not in our body, we're not behind our eyes, things can be happening that can startle us or even scare us because we don't really understand what's happening. And there may be things to be had in those experiences that we're missing because we're not in our body. And we want to get everything we can out of it. I'm sure that's why everyone's here. So when you're entering the woods or anywhere where you feel like there are elemental beings or Sasquatch who are elemental beings, or even multidimensional beings, you want to enter that space as an equal. So we're not bowing down to them. We're entering, I think this is a tendency humans have, is to put other beings above themselves. So we're going to enter that space like we're part of it, because we are part of it. We are nature. We're from nature. We belong there. So we may think we're intruding or feel like intruders in that space. So what happens is when we feel that way or we have that thinking, it puts us at a deficit for that connection. So we're coming together as equal beings. Everybody wants to learn something from each other. And Sasquatch, there's a real push right now for them to help us connect with the elemental realms. So that includes all elemental beings, fairies, gnomes, dwarfs. I know this often sounds, when you start out, you think Sasquatch is far-fetched, right? And, that's not possible, then it's possible. So it's the same with all the different elementals. And my experience has been that with each different type of elemental, you're going to have a similar reaction that you had before. Even though you've had a similar experience, it's a completely different being with different energy. So you may react in a way that takes you out of your body. So you're not available for that experience. You may come away with knowing what happened, but maybe there was a message, or maybe there was a transmission, or maybe there was a heartfelt type connection that they want to have with you that you can't have because you've left the building, basically, so to speak. So we have methods in Light Body Academy to bring yourself behind your eyes, down into your rhythms, the rhythms of your body, and make this a really safe, and I mean, of course, safety is an illusion, generally speaking, but it's the safest place you can be. And the most available place you can be to have these interactions, or these different kinds of interactions, especially the multidimensional type. And a lot of you may know the story, but I'm just going to tell it again because for me, it was a very graphic example of why this was important. And I was able to do this because I had just learned it shortly before this. So I was in my tent at a Sasquatch gathering, and Brian was there. And I'd gone up to my tent and gone to bed, and the other guys were down by the fire, and I could still hear them. But I went to sleep, and all of a sudden I was woken up by lights on three corners of my tent, three sides of my tent. And they were filling the entire sides of the tent. So these lights were huge. They were oval shaped with a dark center. And you know how lights, if you got a flashlight, the center is brighter than the outside. So I knew it wasn't a flashlight. But at first I thought, well, these guys are up here pranking me, But when I realized I could still hear them down by the fire, I knew that wasn't true. And then I started to have a reaction, a physical reaction, a fear type reaction. But since I just learned this technique, I could hear my teacher saying, stay in your body, stay in your body. So I was doing that. I was using the techniques that we learned, staying in my body. And there was an interaction that happened there that I would have missed otherwise. But I'm going to say it was pretty stressful, and I had to work hard at doing that. So it hadn't become a habit at the time. But over time, that becomes a habit, and it's just the way you are. And then you just walk into the woods and it's happening. You don't have to, sort of stand on one foot, cross your fingers, stick your tongue out and hope for the best. It's just a way of being. It's just how you are once you practice it enough. So this is a really important thing that is often, or probably most often, glossed over because people don't know about it. We just go in there and things happen and we overreact, and that can scare beings away. That can actually harm them energetically because we're too much for them. And that includes Sasquatch. So Sasquatch are very careful how they approach people, and it's individual how they do that for that reason. Oh yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about gifting. Brian, did you want to say something?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, gifting, because this is interesting. I was talking with Brian and his wife Sue, who's also an experiencer and has had some really incredible experiences with them. I'm talking about gifting and saying, okay, gifting is a great way to start a relationship. It's a way to start a relationship. Okay, let's say that's worked for many people, but it's not necessarily going to work for everybody. And I think that's because they'll tailor that experience to you. And also patience really helps with that, because sometimes it can take a long time to actually get that gifting site going. And also in the gifting, they'll take breaks. That was my experience anyway. They'll gift for a while when they're busy. Like there's certain times of the year where they're busy. Like I think Brian and you and I have talked about this too. April and October seem to be the most active times, and the times around that. Not that they're not active during those other times, but they're really active at those times. And if anybody else has discovered anything differently, please bring that forward. But I've talked to other people through sessions, private sessions I've had, that have said exactly the same thing. So that seems to be something. I also found that when I was gifting in the very beginning, it was very intense for quite a while. And then like January, February, almost nothing. And then it would start up again as we got closer to spring. So there's that. But they can start up a relationship. Again, dream time is one way they've started relationships with people. And that's a very good way for them to connect with us, because it's safe for them and it's safe for you. And a lot can be done and had during that time under our awareness. So they can be working with you in your dream time, and you may not remember it. I mean, you may have a dream that you've met up with a Sasquatch, but I'm not going to say it's most likely, but until you cultivate that sort of awareness more in your dream time scape, it's not going to be so much in the forefront. So there could be a lot going on we're not aware of. Oh yeah, and I could probably mention the Dreamtime Healing Project. So we also have a Dreamtime Healing Project that help bring that awareness more to the forefront for you. That's also on the Light Body website. So dreams are a really good way for them to connect with us. Gifting is a good way. And if anybody's had any different experience, I know Sue, Brian, you were saying, or she was saying that she tried to gift, it didn't work, and she started connecting with them in different ways. Or they started connecting with her in different ways. there's a lot of people dealing with the physical evidence side of things. There aren't very many people dealing with this side of things or having a venue for people to be able to talk about it as much, because there are some people that don't want to know about the multidimensional side of Sasquatch. They don't believe it at all. It's weird. They don't want to talk about it. And there are people out there who are having or have had experiences for their entire lives and have never told anyone because there's not a safe place to do it. So that's I really want that for people, to have a place to be able to tell each other what their experiences are, so that that can help everyone grow as we move along together.